Was there a secret meeting that took place in 1991 to change hip hop forever? We're going to talk about that today. Let's go. What's up, everybody? I'll go by the name of Doggie Diamonds. This is Doggie Diamonds TV. As you know, this is Doggie Diamonds No Filter. So this is something that's been weighing on me for a while. And I was wondering, like, the culture that I love, the genre that I love, that I grew up in, that I grew up on, that I'm a part of, that I added on to, did it trick us out of our spot? It's really tough to cover something like this because this is what we've known for so many years. The genre is 51, I believe now. And many of us were born into it, and it's all we know. Many of us have participated in it in one way or another, whether it was from the production side, whether it was from the rapping side, whether it was just cheering on a homie or even being a patron of it, buying the music, streaming the music, playing the music, just being a part of it. And one day I started thinking, damn, it was a particular point where I used to learn things from hip hop. As far as the music was concerned, as far as the lyrics of the music used to teach me things, or even if it didn't teach me things, it would steer me in a direction to learn. Even the creative standpoint of it, of wanting to learn how to produce, wanting to learn how to DJ, where I got these two turntables, and how do I put these records on the turntables and put the needle on there and plug the RCA wires into the mixer and all this? You know, this is all technical stuff that some of us learn as pubescent children. Me, myself in particular. So this is teaching me red and white wires and this wire going here and this speaker wire, and I could hook up this electricity. All of that comes into play now. So now when we get things and we got to plug stuff up, we already veterans of plugging things up because we've been plugging things up for like 35 years, 35, 34, 36 years. So we went from that to we made pause tapes. So we learn how to take a tape and take a little part of the tape and record and stop and record and stop, and made a beat extend out of creativity. So hip hop at one point was teaching us things and it was making us creative. And in this teaching and this creativity, it took us out of trouble because this has nothing to do with the mind state. This has nothing to do with what somebody is saying or steering us to do. It's just all about creativity. Yo, I took that beat and I made it 3 minutes. And then some of us started getting advanced where we would take 2 parts and learn how to make the chorus part. And, you know, it became very, very intricate. So from DJing, I would say pause tapes first, to DJing, where we learn how to extend the record, right? To production. We had hardware. Right in front of me is a Rodecaster. I wouldn't know how to use this Rodecaster if I didn't know anything about sound, electronics, and equipment. So everything that I learned was a prerequisite to what I know how to do today, of knowing how to use sound and making it come through here and being very, very clear. This is all in the inception of me discovering hip hop. We're talking 1990 for me. This had nothing to do with lyrics. This has just something to do with the technique of creating this thing called hip hop. How I was learning how to be a part of it. Then it went from that to actually getting other hardware to create music. So I now get an SB1200, a 950, 10-way speakers, a Tascam 688, a power amp, a reverb, compressor, S950, SB1200, and another turntable because I don't want to take the turntable from the set. So now I got to get another turntable, and me being intricate as I wanted a black turntable. So getting all these things, now I got to learn all of these things. I got to learn that when you take a record and you sample, you put it in here, you hit this over here to trigger it, you put this here. I had to learn all these things. You know, we could go on and on and on about the technique of that. That was the learning part of hip hop that I had to go from pause tapes to DJing, to learning how to wire things from DJing to having a wire studio. And one day I'm gonna show you the wires that we used to have to use to wire studios. It wasn't just USB and plug it in. It was snakes. It was MIDI cables. It was so much RCA wires, quarter-inch jacks, plugs, power cables. It was a lot. And that was the fun of it. And that's what made me love the culture, because now my heroes, the Marley Marls, the Larry Smiths, the people that was doing these beats that I heard of, the Howie T's, I'm not going to name them all, but the people that I was hearing, hey, I got an opportunity to do what they do. I already had a thought of records from being a DJ. So I know about all the James Brown drum breaks. I know about all of that, you know, early hip hop, we just looping stuff and layering it. Then they said Marley used to chop drums. So me coming up in the culture around Trackmasters was the first people I seen chop drums. Kick, snare, hi-hat. Then you take this kick, snare, hi-hat, and you make your own pattern. So I was like, wow, because at first I was just looping drums. I would get, everybody loves Impeach the President. Everybody loves Substitution. I would just loop a beat. But then when I seen them actually, boom, I'm like, yo, you just did that? Now I got to learn tempo, quantizing, truncating, and being on beat. So it was a big learning curve for me. I didn't go out the house for like 3-4 months. I'm just in the house eating Chinese food and working on music and just trying to figure out all of this stuff that I bought at one time to be like who I looked up to. Now, as I was getting into the culture, of course, I was around Trackmaster, so they was the early influence. But musically, I wanted to be like Pete Rock. When I went to Sam Ash to get the equipment, I didn't know that I needed something called a drum machine and a sampler. So I asked about equipment. I went with Polk from Trackmasters. And I asked him, you got an SB1200, you got a 950. At this time, they was moving on to the MP62. I asked, what does Pete Rock use? Oh, he used the SB1200. That's what I want then. Ironically, Easy Mo B ended up moving in my neighborhood, I think around 93, but I started seeing him early 94. Me and him end up getting a dope relationship, and he would come to the crib, and I just was like, Easy Mo B is in my crib. This is Ready to Die. They're working on it. But Easy Mo B, he had another victory. He had another victory by Big Daddy Kane. He had Miles Davis. So I already respected him. He had some early Wu-Tang work. But when he came to the crib and he told me he used the SB1200 too, I was like, well, that's two guys that I know that have this drum machine that I know I'm on the right track because I respect them. Then I started hearing these Biggie records. First I heard the what, then I heard Give Me the Loot. I might not be in the right order. I think the first record I heard from Easy Mo B and Biggie it wasn't Give Me the Loot. It was Ready to Die, the title track. So when I heard the drums, I was like, oh no, I know what those drums are. Then I'm going into my chopping bag. So now I have somebody close to me that I could draw inspiration from, Easy Mo B. Then they do Warning, which is just a beat on a tape. Isaac Hayes. So I'm like, yo, that's Walk On By Isaac Hayes. I'm not sample snitching because they cleared it. But they got these drums on it. And Easy Mo B don't remember. It was different drums that I had on the tape that he did. He ended up changing the drums for the record, but he don't remember that, but I do. So Biggie is like, yo, I want to do Warning. I was like, what's Warning? He said, yo, loop this beat for me. I take the beat, throw it in the 950, loop it. I hook up the microphone. And then he just starts, who the hell is this? Paging me at 5:46 in the morning, crack of dawn. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I just didn't expect that rap to this type of beat. He got my cousin. My cousin has a very, very deep voice. He got my cousin to do, damn, niggas want to stick me for my paper. Damn, niggas want me, you know. He stopped after the first verse. He didn't go into the second verse. So now I got this Biggie. Who the hell is this? Paging me at 5:46. I got this in the crib. Go on to be Warning later on. But I recorded the early version. Then I meet Aguilar. At this particular time, he's Adolf. Incredible producer. Incredible producer. Aguilar was the first person that I seen do the tone bass. And I'm not going to be intricate with the tone basses. If you know, you know. But I'll tell you a little bit. The tone bass is a sound that comes out of the S950, but it says tone, and it's a sound. But when you slow it down or speed it up, which is called transposing, it goes into this deep bass. Low end. But Aguilar was able to manipulate it where this could go, but he would have to cut each sound. This is all by ear. We don't see no waves at this time. This is all by ear. So Aguilar's in the crib. The only person I ever let touch my equipment. That's a fact. Aguilar coming to the crib every day. He beat me. We working. I'm seeing his technique. He taught me something about the snare. I used to have so much mids on the snare. So I had the Tascam board. He went not to the high, to the mid, and put the mid on 9 o'clock. No, I'm bugging. 3 o'clock. So I like the way the snare sound on 3 o'clock. So I'm like, oh nah. I'm remixing all my records because this is analog. I don't have a computer. This is all analog. I'm remixing all these beats, laying them down with the snares on 3 o'clock. Got that from Aguilar. Through this, I started developing a lifestyle because this is hip hop. They're getting drunk. They're eating fast food. Dudes coming through recording, smoking excessively. We drinking 40s of beer. All kinds of beer, from St. Ives, the Old English, to Power Master, to I never drank no Wild Eye, nothing like that. I did drink Cisco. Never drank no MD 2020, but I did drink Cisco. Ballantine, any 40 ounce that was advertised from hip hop. We touched it because it was advertised in hip hop. The smoking. There's no cooking. This is fast food. Yo, we got to record. So, yo, let's go get a couple of pints of rice, and some hairy chicken wings. So that added on to the bad diet. We got some yak, which we wasn't ever drinking no cognac because Hennessy wasn't popular yet. Malt liquor was popular. But when I say yak, we started off on the Bacardi. That's like our first yak, although it's not cognac. But Bacardi, everybody had Bacardi in their little china cabinet in the crib. And dudes smoking. So I started drinking a lot because it's a part of the culture. We get some beers. We work on music. We all got this demo dream. We all know somebody. We all make a demo and pass it out and get on. And that's what hip hop was. And then when the music started coming out, and dudes is like, I smoked the Buddha Bless and, 40s and, a 40 and a blunt. And I'm not singling out any rapper because I don't blame them. And I want y'all to know, I'm not blaming rappers for this. I'm blaming the system. The rappers was just the conduit for the destruction that was sold to us, but it was all an elaborate plot, in my opinion. It was all an elaborate plot, in my opinion, that worked. That's why I'm doing this. But we thought we had to do these things because it was a part of the culture. It was a particular time in the 90s where it was more weed making songs, how to roll a blunt, smoke Buddha, smoke Method Man, Method Cow. Like it was just a lot of weed songs. I woke up in the morning, hopped in the train to see my man. He had an L, and we could go on and on. The Chronic. I never made the choice to smoke weed, but it was prevalent because that was just a part of the culture. I don't know when, because I can remember some of my elders prior to me. We seen the elders with the album cover taking the seeds out. They had the manila envelopes or the camera case taking the seeds out, but everybody didn't smoke. You had non-smokers, you had people who smoked. But it became a particular time where it seemed like everybody smoked. And it wasn't joints, it was blunts, it was Phillies, it was Optimos, it was all types of cigars. Then I started noticing over years, some people had black ass lips. And then even from the drinking, the malt liquor was kind of like bum shit after a while. We graduated to liquor now because now Hennessy is big and gin and juice, and this liquor changed how you drink. And don't let you go to a club and then you learn about what a Long Island iced tea is, because 2 of those, you good all night. But it became a part of what we thought we had to do, and we were true blue hip hoppers. Because in hip hop, beer was sold to us, weed was sold to us, and then it graduated to liquor, champagne, and then it was like these exotic drugs and then pills and all of this. And I was like, yo, hold the fuck up. Nah. I got one of the worst diets ever because I think that I don't have time to eat right. I'm in Brooklyn. We live in the hood. There's a Chinese restaurant everywhere. It's a chicken spot everywhere. And cooking, I don't got time to cook. I don't got time for that. Yo, go to the store, get me a hero. Other places, y'all might call them sandwiches, hoagies, whatever. We call them heroes. And that's what that's going to be. Go get you a hero. Go get you a honey turkey with Swiss cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, a little bit of mayo. I hate mayo. In a 1 liter. And that's my diet. Or getting, hairy chicken wings and fries with ketchup. And that's my diet. Wash that down with some soda, some liquor, some beer. And that's my diet, because in hip hop, this is how they eat. And I'm a part of this now. And then when I realize how I'm living, I'm like, yo, why do I live like this? Why is everything about fast food and, hurry up and we gotta record? And many of y'all could remember when it was you and 12 of your homies and you really thought y'all was gonna make it and we the new such and we such and such records and we in suite such and such and dudes that have a whole project apartment and calling it a suite, whatever, right? It is what it is. But I started wondering, why is this targeted to us? Why are we like this? Where we from? Like, and where did this shit derive from? Where did it start? Like, we grew up with the conscious hip hop and the X Clan and Poor Righteous Teachers, and I don't want to leave nobody, but we grew up where they was telling you about awareness, who you was, where you were from, where you could be from, and certain things, and crack is whack and don't do crack and all that. And it just went to where we was just on the deep end. And one thing that the alcohol and the liquor and the poor diet brought to the culture of me and my people was extreme violence. Extreme. We just thought it was a part of, we not no joke. We already in the belly of the beast as far as the streets. The streets is already turned. Live in Brooklyn, Brook Norm, you name it. You can call all of that. The trains ain't safe. The streets ain't safe. So with this beer in our system and this liquor and just being on the lookout and just us being together and we ain't gonna let niggas play us. It all went hand in hand. And this is all but before 1992. It's like 1990. And then they saying something took place. And I want to share that with y'all. There's a conspiracy theory that in 1991, a secret meeting took place. And the claim is that a persistent conspiracy theory alleges that in 1991, 25 to 30 top music industry executives met at a private residence near Los Angeles with private prison investors. The alleged plan, the letter claims executives were pressured to promote gangster rap and lyrics focused on drugs, violence, and sex, specifically to create a killing rap genre that would lead to increased incarceration rates. What's the source of this? The story originated from a 2012 blog post, an anonymous email signed by John Smith, often attributed to industryconfessions@gmail.com. The validity of the letter is widely considered a hoax or conspiracy theory against hip hop. However, some artists, including Crazy Bone, have discussed the rumor, which reflects real concerns about the intersection of hip hop, mass incarceration, and corporate private. And this content was done on one of my channels, Digital Soapbox Network, with Crazy Bone talking about this. And if you've seen this go viral, yeah, this was Crazy Bone talking about this when he was signed to the podcast network that I have. And you can watch this video for yourself when you get the chance, but it's on Digital Soapbox Network. Crazy Bone exposes the secret meeting that changed hip hop forever. I think part 2 has way more views, if I'm not mistaken. But this was done 4 years ago. Let me see. Crazy Bone. Oh, this is the thumbnail. No, I don't think that that's the thumbnail that I'm looking for. But nevertheless, let's say that the meeting never took place. Let's say that that's fake. Let's say that that's never is not real. Do you believe in the Willie Lynch letter? Some people say that's not real. But the ideology from the letter, the purpose of the letter rings true, if you're familiar with the Willie Lynch letter. According to some of the things in the letter, it wouldn't match up chronologically of where we at in the world with some of the things. And maybe this letter is cap. But when you look at the result of what they said should take place, hasn't mass incarceration went up via what we're being sold in our culture that we call hip hop. There is no more conscious hip hop. There is no more ladies that are truly ladies. There's no more yo-yos. Because even some of the ladies that we thought were ladies, but they were ladies that like ladies that didn't like men. Respectfully. Just, it is what it is. And then when they were ladies, they were very, very sexually explicit. And that's what sold. Now, when we think about hip hop, we had this thing called gangster rap that we all love because this is the first time. You got to think, we kids when this come out. These motherfuckers is cursing. They talking about who they shot, who they going to shoot. We was just like, whoa, this is Scarface on music to a dope beat. It works for me. But then we start adapting this way of thought because this is what's going on. And when they say it's reality rap, and this is what goes on in the hood, and we just reporting what's going on in the hood, what happens is now my hood is better than your hood. Bed-Stuy is the livest. So now we want to report what's going on in the style. Now the problem is it might not always be going on, so we got to create what's going on in order to rap about it. Or we could rap about his life, her life, this, that, and the third. We can do that. Where we start emulating what we think is going to work. And then we find out that the record labels don't want conscious hip hop no more. They don't want R&B talking about love. They don't want reggae that's roots and culture and uplifting. They want all of these things. They want gangster rap. They want gangbang rap. They want coke rap. They want all these things. So what happens is the dudes who really done it, start saying, hold on. Niggas gonna talk about my life. I might as well do it. Or I got a couple of dollars. How much is it going to take to get my record label off the ground? That's when the culture got infiltrated by dudes with street money, which in my opinion messed the culture up. Because now you had dudes that didn't know shit about the culture and they started looking at hip hop like a drug flip. And they say, if you figure if I put 10,000, that's not how this works. Until this day, we still plagued by that mentality. But I started thinking, who's the gain? Who's the benefit? We don't benefit from that. Yeah, a couple of us make a few pennies. But who benefits from this mentality that we all have now? The drinking, the drugging, the fucking, the violence, the prison, the gangbanging, which originally gangbanging meant a bunch of dudes, running the train on a chick. That's what I always thought. But it got revised into something different. Now I want y'all to know I have no script in front of me. This is all just shooting straight from the dome, from the mental, from the hip. I don't have scripts, so sometimes if I mispronounce a word or mess up on a word, it's because I'm just shooting from here and here. Right? Then I started thinking like, damn, I'm a whole alcoholic. I like getting drunk every day. I'm out of shape. I'm overweight. I got poor eating habits. But I get drunk and I whip your ass. That was my mentality. And I make dope beats. But then something hit me one day. Well, what good is making dope beats if you're not even going to be around to live to see the fruits of your labor because your diet is so poor? You drinking excessively every day. And you think you can harm everybody and no harm is going to come to you. Well, we know when you in the street, you're going to give some and you're going to take some. Sometimes what you take is fatalities. So you learn that lesson fast, but then you don't learn the lesson of, I need to calm my ass down. You start thinking you got to get back. That's how they trick Dirk out of, you going to spin a block for Vaughn? You going to slide for Vaughn? What the hell was sliding for Vaughn? I didn't get it. And the fact that he let people who's not from that lifestyle ask you, are you going to slide for somebody? That is a part of a culture that's very, very harmful. Because we're not allowed to forgive. We're not allowed to let things go. We're not allowed to let things slide. We get trolled when we just want to just move on. We get trolled when we make amends. We get trolled when we don't clap back. We get trolled when we don't slide. That's what the culture has produced. You cannot be a man and sit down, yo, it couldn't be me. You know, yo, he said something about his mother. Or we don't have no love for the reconciliation of the solution. It's only the problem. And then when you crash out and you do some shit you ain't got no business doing, trying to appease the public, people call you stupid. So you can't win. But who benefited from this mentality that we all started taking on from the dudes, even the older, the elders, and the little children now, and learning how to twerk, and the ladies, and everybody's a part of something. But it's a lot of dysfunction. And when did this shit just become like normal to be dysfunctional? Because it was a part that we were tricked, that we was like, yo, that nigga got a job. This nigga work. But people started job shaming because they was like, yo, I'm a big time rapper. What I look like working? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm this, I'm that. And then the things that really mattered, like your health, your mental health, and your happiness, started getting clowned and frowned upon. So now, in these days and times, we got men dying at 50, men and women on dialysis, men and women with all types of ailments from the excessive drinking, smoking, fucking, violence. And the reward a lot of times be mental illness, loneliness, and depression. And we seeing this now. I know more depressed people, lonely people, and sad people than I know happy people. Because many of us are afflicted by the same thing. We were tricked. We were thinking that each one teach one. Bros before hoes. Yo, let's get the same tat. Yo, all that shit was cap. Because I always tell you, everybody is your homie, your man, until it come to money, pussy, and opportunity. Then you see where you stand with people. That's when you hear, yo, is my nigga, but ain't my nigga like that. You thinking that's your boy. We watching dudes tell on each other. We watching dudes double cross each other. We watching people who came up in the ranks together. One get a higher rank than the other. Then he start abusing them. We watching dudes take each other publishing and all the shit that I be trying to free people from. They don't even want to be free. They want to be subservient to other men. And when you give them the out and you give them the blueprint for freedom and for pure independence, they'll run right back to the person that you try to free them from. Because I could show dudes sometimes, yo, bro, nigga didn't do right by you. But this is what you can do from here. And some people don't know what it means to be truly independent, to where you do not have to answer to anybody for anything you do and say. You just got to live with what you do and say on your own. But there is no consequence of somebody not messing with you or not talking to you no more. Listen, why would you ever worry about somebody not talking to you that don't talk to you anyway? And that don't mean talk about them bad. But the truth is lonely. The truth is lonely. The lie has a crowd because the lie creates an illusion that everybody wants to be a part of the illusion. The truth is lonely. Nobody wants to be truthful. Nobody wants to say, hey man, I'm down to my last $200. I don't know what I'm going to do. When dudes will lie and put the 10 on the 2. If the economy is twisted, gas prices is up, food prices is up, housing is up, the economy is bad, we seeing workers not get paid. Why is everybody professing to be rich and have it? But if I charge a little $100 for promo, oh, I'm gonna get back to you. Oh, that's a word 100. What I'm getting with all that when you can see it on the screen.